I think we're both needing to lead and also respond to world conditions as they unfold. And the experiences we've been having in the last few years, both in terms of the economic complexity that we're living through, as well as our need to try to decide how we want to deal with some sort of really worldwide challenges like climate change and the need to protect the environment and so on. Certainly our organizational structures and forms have been created over many years of experiences around a particular kind of goal or desire to make things, to serve people in certain ways and so on. But obviously as the challenges have increased and gotten more complicated, we're needing to think in, I think, wider ways about how to create organizational forms that respond. And I think we're seeing that happen both organically and also by design. And that's one of the interesting conversations that's happening here, trying to identify those organizations that have just simply begun to do things differently and are good examples and models of how we might think about how organizations need to evolve in the future, and those organizations that are simply struggling to try to figure out how to structure themselves differently in order to respond to current challenges. And that's, I think, one of the questions that our profession really looks at and tries to respond to with some degree of intention and some degree of sophistication. And I think it's an opportunity that we share. I mean, one of the reasons why this is an important set of conversations is that it helps us both learn from what's happening and try to apply it then more intentionally when we can, and also try to figure out how we can support and promote changes that our customers believe they need to make in order to both survive and thrive and participate as citizens of the global world. I think that's one of the changes that is clearly happening that requires everyone to begin to think differently about how to organize, how to work together, how to collaborate. This notion that we suddenly realize we're interdependent in unexpected and unanticipated ways, and that understanding and knowing that is really creating a sense of both pressure and also opportunity. So it's a wonderful time and also a terrifying time for organizations. It's a time when we must respond, because if we don't, we're likely to face much bigger problems than we have now, and we will all be in it together. And so it's in all of our collective best interest to begin thinking about this and keep these questions alive and on the table at all times.
Throughout the more or less 3 days of the conference, have you seen good examples or examples that made you think or rethink these issues?
Well, one of the things that I think the conference planners did such a good job at doing is putting this issue of, let's say, non-conventional organizations as a key theme. Because one of the things they were clearly aware of was the fact that there are organizations that do represent the future and have found ways to create responses to current needs through future forms. And I think the opportunity to learn about examples of those organizations, hear about the kind of courage and creativity that some organizational leaders are bringing to the conversation, and to reflect on examples of this sort of new approaches to working together, to solving problems together, to creating new opportunities together. That's been, I think, a wonderful opportunity that's happened at the conference.
There is another colorful aspect of this conference, that it's not only one international organization that came together and shared their knowledge and views of the world, but the organizers were trying to bring together different international organizations. So this is a platform to share. What is the importance of this?
Well, I think we're trying, in fact, to practice what we preach. In other words, if we say that the world is a more interdependent place, if we say that we really need to be in dialogue across differences, if we need to find ways to pool our respective experience and learning and knowledge and energy in order to really work on extraordinarily challenging, difficult problems, then we have to be able to do that ourselves. So I think the effort that the conference planners made to involve organizations from around the world, in effect, makes it clear that we understand that this interdependence exists in our profession too. And if we're not able to do that and work and find ways to learn from each other, to work together, to understand our differences and try to find effective common ground, then it's going to be pretty difficult for us to help our customers do that.
One of the things that the organizers started to do before the conference, and they are actually currently doing as well, is the social aspect of the conference and project on the social side.
Yes.
What do you think about it, and what is the importance of this in the OD profession?
Well, I think one of the values that has always been a foundation for our work has been a real sense of generosity and giving back. And I think it's manifested in the amount of volunteer energy that has created this conference. I mean, the fact that so many people have donated time, energy, creativity, that I think is a fundamental underlying value of our work and why our work, I think, has great meaning in the world, both in terms of the service we provide, but also the example we set. So I think the fact that social impact projects were included as part of the structure of this learning experience was a great example of trying to show and to embody the values that we think are so important and that need to be in place when we work directly with our customers.
One of the subtitles of the conference was dialogue and action. And I think dialogue is something that is going on in a good conference.
Sure.
But then it's always a question how the afterlife of the conference goes, and then what actions does it, provoke. What do you think will follow this conference, and what would be your suggestion to those people who took part in the conference, brought up ideas, exchanged ideas, and go back to work, to normal everyday life?
Well, I mean, clearly, typically at a conference like this, the dialogue is an easier part of the experience than the point you're making around, then now what do we do with what we've learned? I mean, that what do we do with what we've learned question is, a key dilemma, I think, when you get any group together to try to work on, let's say, engaging with a particular issue, working on solving a problem, deciding on a new strategy, whatever it is. How do you help people actually move across the boundary from simply thinking to doing? And I think in this particular case, because it is a conference and we're an informal group that collected ourselves because of a really strong interest and a passion for our work, I think the decisions we individually make about how we're going to apply what we've learned are particularly critical. And I would assume the conference planners have built in to their design an expectation that we will be challenged to think about how to apply what it is we've been talking about, what it is we think we've been learning, the ways in which we can take advantage of the new relationships we've been building, and so on. Because this, obviously, because of my work, I think about networks and networking a lot. And the idea about how to build stronger, more reliable, more effective networks of colleagues and of organizations is always on my mind. And I think that's one of the ways in which we can put things into action. Maybe not each person coming up with an specific action plan, but to carry on the dialogue, to carry on the dialogue after the conference, to continue to challenge one another, to talk about what it is we're thinking about, how our work is going, what it is we value, and how we want to put those values into action wherever we're working, in whatever country we're living, and so on. I think that's one of the ways in which action can proceed, even though it may not be focused on a particular project.
Is there a chance that maybe, not every year, but from time to time, the OD professional of different organizations, different international organizations would come together and share the knowledge and their ideas. Because of course each and every organization have got their yearly conferences, which is very valuable and very important.
Sure.
But then maybe from time to time, it's nice to see where we have come to, where we have arrived, and share, because maybe it gives another momentum to the changes and to the reactions to the world changes.
Well, you're certainly verbalizing a strong hope of mine. I mean, one of the opportunities that's happened here that I think is a move into a new way of being in relationship is the fact that the OD Network, the organization I represent, and IOTA, the International Organization Development Association, have come together at this conference in a new way, and because we're also now embarking on a project together. So my hope is, and I think it's through work together that people develop new relationships and new commitments to continue. And so my belief is the fact that I was privileged to be able to come and be here and support the conference, and had a chance to then meet and know and begin to develop relationships with so many people from around the world, represents certainly a great opportunity for the OD Network, because we have wanted to do this for many years and have just not found a way to do it as effectively as we perhaps should. But now we're in a place, I think, to really begin to think about new possibilities for connections, particularly global connections. And my mind is spinning with all sorts of opportunities and possibilities about how to continue this kind of dialogue, international dialogue, professional dialogue, learning-based dialogue, and have it be an ongoing opportunity for people everywhere. And I think one of the opportunities particularly that it represents for the United States, I think while many ideas and theories and concepts about our work have originated in the United States has had a very, I think, very cut off sense of its own connectivity in our professional world. And my hope is that that's going to shift, and that those boundaries between us in the United States and the rest of the world are going to be able to be blurred and are going to be able to shift. And I think we're at the beginning of that possibility, and it's my intention to try to do as much as I can to make sure that we take advantage of it.